Should Maine bring back the possibility of parole for those serving time in prison? That is a question currently being taken up by the Maine legislature. Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Iacono.
And I'm Amanda Hill. Maine used to have a parole system, but back in 1975, the public's perception was that the parole board was too lenient and it was dissolved.
Maine was the first to do so. 14 other states would then follow. Well, now there's a push to bring the parole system in Maine back. News Center Maine's Chloe Thibault tells us who's behind it and why.
That's what we're doing, is reminding people that this is a human problem.
Brandon Brown is a familiar face in Maine when it comes to conversations about prison reform. He has a unique perspective as someone who spent time behind bars but found purpose through education.
That's what got me through my time in prison, was this idea of having hope that there was a place for me in society, regardless of the fact that I had committed a terrible wrong.
It's one reason why Brandon is advocating for the reestablishment of parole in Maine since it was abolished close to 50 years ago. Now, a next step in that fight.
It's a new collaborative effort to really get parole passed, but we've been going through iterations of parole legislation for a number of years now.
Brandon is one of a handful of people who has started a citizens collective called Parole for Maine, encouraging Mainers to support a bill in the Maine legislature that would bring back this system.
We want people to get out. We want people to be able to contribute to society.
Dr. Arthur Jones has more than 40 years of experience working the criminal justice system.
All of the studies show that people who are incarcerated for a longer sentence of time suffer more mental health problems. They have a tougher problem of reintegrating into society.
A society that experts say also faces an economic burden when people are in prison for longer periods of time.
The latest estimates from the Department of Corrections are $78,000 per person to incarcerate a person per year. It costs $15,000 to go to community college every year in Maine.
Catherine Bestman is a professor of anthropology at Colby College. She's also a member of Parole for Maine. She says she firmly believes in the value of a second chance.
Most people who have caused heinous harm want to do something to fix it. They want to have access to some way to contribute to the community that they harmed. And our system right now does not allow that.
That was News Center Maine's Chloe Thibault reporting. Governor Janet Mills has spoken out against reestablishing parole in the past. In a statement today, her office said in part, while the governor supports criminal justice reform efforts that advance the rehabilitation of incarcerated individuals consistent with their sentences as decided by a judge, she is troubled by the lack of consideration given to victims of these crimes and their families. Her team also said she supports the existing supervised community confinement program here in Maine that allows people to get out of prison a maximum of 30 months before the end of their sentence.